City University of Hong Kong is an international university which emphasizes the integration of research and teaching. The university promotes diversified, cross-cultural studies through various educational programs. To promote our educational vision, City University of Hong Kong produced a series called Beyond Boundaries, Dialogue with Presidents of World's Leading Educational Institutions. Professor Way Kuo, President of City University of Hong Kong, talks to presidents of universities and principals of high schools around the world, exploring each other's strengths and looking forward to the future direction of educational development. National University of Singapore, a stanchion in nation building. A wall at the administration building of the National University of Singapore is adorned with rows of portraits of esteemed alumni. Among them are Lee Kuan Yew, the founding father of Singapore; Goh Chok Tong, the country's second prime minister; NUS has not only nurtured political leaders for the country, but has also made significant contributions to Singapore's economic growth. It is now a world-renowned university for its comprehensive education and research capabilities. According to the QS World University Rankings, NUS remained in the 11th place for 4 consecutive years, from 2019 to 2022, and clinched top spot in the QS Asia University Rankings from 2019 to 2022. In 1965, Singapore declared its independence. The survival of a small country without natural resources was very much at stake. Boosting her human resources became a pressing national priority. Education at all levels, especially tertiary education, was heavily promoted and funded by the government. In August 1980, the University of Singapore and Nanyang University merged to form the National University of Singapore. Over the years, the Singapore government invested a large portion of its financial resources in education. Since the 1990s, the government proposed to develop National University of Singapore as a world-class university and invited international experts to review and advise on teaching and research. Since then, National University of Singapore has advanced by leaps and bounds. Singapore's growing economy, additional financial commitment, and the use of English as the medium of instruction all make NUS well-placed to attract international talent. We are honored to have the President of National University of Singapore, Professor Tan Eng Chai, on our program today to share his experience and vision of leading this outstanding university. Professor Way Kuo, President of City University of Hong Kong, is well known for his research on the reliability of electronic systems and nuclear energy. In his early years, he worked at Bell Laboratories in the United States, who held the position of department head and dean of the School of Engineering in an American university. and was conferred academicians in various countries. Professor Way Kuo has served as the president of CityU for more than 10 years. His philosophy of education is summarized in the lyrics of the CityU anthem, which he wrote, "Learn and question beyond boundaries." Professor Way Kuo has also published several books about education. He is particularly concerned about the challenges facing contemporary education around the world.
莫愁前路无知己，天下谁人不识君。What I mean is, you make a name out of your performance, so don't be worried that people don't understand you, don't know you. And Chinese also say that 授与国同. What it means is the life of the university is just as long as a nation. Understand the Republic of Singapore was formally established in 1965, and National University of Singapore was officially established in 1980. So I think it's quite fair to say 授与国同. Ladies and gentlemen, this university, National University of Singapore, is probably the number one of the university of such age, even when it is compared with the other older university. They ranked extremely well. Of course, President Tan is so glad to be here, and we are honored to carry this conversation to understand more about NUS.
Thank you very much. You're so kind and so generous. We are, for a long time actually, the only university in Singapore. As you have remarked, Singapore became independent in 1965. A lot of it, I think, comes from the strong support that the university had from the government. Singapore is a small country. We have a population of 5.5 million. We have no resources except human capital. And that's why education is seen to be very important. And the government actually invests heavily in training, in skilling our people. So I'm glad that NUS has been able to get the strong support of the government, and at the same time, as our country developed, we also move in sync and in pretty much alignment with the country. So a lot of what NUS has achieved right now is actually built on the great works and foundations of our predecessors. We were just a teaching university up to perhaps the end of the 80s. And that is also a feature of the economy that we were in then. But as we move into a more innovation-driven economy, there's a need for universities to take on research and to put innovation as one important key outputs. So the 90s was the time that NUS and also NTU, which was formed during that period, started to focus on research. But when we move towards a more research-intensive university, there is a need to ensure that you have high quality and you can also require a high bar for promotion. So we took the American system, right, which is well understood. Basically, we look around, we look at UC Berkeley. And we thought that UC Berkeley is a state university like ours, and it's good for us to try to learn something from them. So we took the UC Berkeley promotion and tenure system and actually implemented it in NUS. This is a system that is rigorous and has ensured the high quality of faculty members.
The establishment of the National University of Singapore was greatly supported by the Singapore government. The university takes an important role in nurturing talents for the nation and promoting the economic and technological development of the country. The National University of Singapore focuses on recruitment, development, and retention of teaching and research talents to develop the university into a research-intensive university with outstanding achievements in a short period of time.
I visited Berlin, the Berlin University, the Humboldt University Berlin. Yes. They were the early ones to promote research. And certainly, the NUS has been doing so well. It's not just as a teaching, it's not only research. Although you start a little bit late, but you're doing so well, you're ahead of the curve, and you integrate the teaching and the research so well. Share some lights with us, how things have been moved so fast, so well.
There's always a certain amount of risk when you change, all right? And if you look at Singapore's evolution, our predecessors took a lot of risks, all right, to change our economy. Likewise, I think we have actually a pretty good risk culture. We are able to size up and take risks and make the change. And in Singapore, it's not just talking about change, it's implementing the changes. And Singapore is actually very good at it. So NUS also indirectly acquired that DNA, that when we want to change, we are very focused and we are actually pretty good at implementing. So hiring, so if you look at a university is a talent organization. We want talented students, we want talented faculty members, we want talented staff to support us, and we want our talented alumni to make impact on society. Right? That's how we get our stature. And if you look at, say, talented faculty members, we look for very high caliber faculty members. And recruitment is actually one important part. But do we actually sit and just say, wait for applications? Or are we more aggressive and proactive and actually seek out the good people and actually try to recruit them? So the two approaches can yield very different results, right? And we took the latter. We are more proactive in terms of recruitment. But bringing a person here is just half of the story. How do you actually provide the environment for these academics to succeed, right? To do well. So we also pay a lot of attention, particularly for the younger ones. We have a system of mentorship. The culture of the place would, in a way, allow these people to assimilate some of the culture, and then they move on. So mentorship is actually one, right? It's not straightforward that young assistant professors will be able to teach, right? It's not so straightforward that young assistant professors would be able to be independent researchers, to look for good problems and to be able to solve good problems. So it allows a sort of a mentorship by senior faculty to guide them, right? But not to do the work for them, but to guide them, right? We also make sure that we provide good resources to allow them to accomplish. So faculty recruitment, development, and then the last thing, retention. It's a good problem to have when our faculty members get poached by other universities.
I agree totally. Yes.
It's a good problem.
The worst case is nobody wants your people. It's painful.
But it is painful because then you have to worry about retention.
Right.
So recruitment, development, and retention is very important for our heads of department, for our deans, for our provost, for our president.
I noticed that there are quite a few startups, and your Hanger program, the startups program, have been so noticeable and so successful. It is hard to tell that it is coming from a university of such a short history. But tell us a little bit more about your startups.
Startup is very dynamic, and a startup can succeed or fail very easily. And most of the time, startups fail. Maybe 10% after a while.
That'll be good. 10% is actually quite good.
10% is pretty good, right? And the key is that to tell our students that it's okay to fail, right? But you learn to fail fast, all right? You learn to pick yourself up and, move forward. And we think that the startup environment is excellent. So we started with attaching students in startups in Silicon Valley. So now we have 14 locations across the world: Silicon Valley, New York City, Toronto, so 3 in North America. We have 5 in Europe, Stockholm in Sweden, Lausanne in Switzerland, Munich in Germany, Haifa and Tel Aviv in Israel. We have 3 locations in China, in Beijing, Shenzhen, and Shanghai. And here we attach our students for 1 semester or 1 full year in a startup. They would do some of these entrepreneurship type of courses with our partner university. And they provide the some academic components on entrepreneurship, but the main experience in the startup bear credits. And I think it has been 20 years. We are celebrating 20 years. And we have actually now more than 3,800 students who have gone through this program. What I thought is useful is more than 90% after they graduate, they continue to do startups. 2, there are actually more than 850 companies being set up by our graduates. 3, these 850 companies actually garnered about $1.2 billion in terms of financial support or funding support. All right. And 4, actually we're quite happy that we already have 3 unicorns from them: PetSnap, Carousel, and just 2 weeks ago, Hasura.
Well, congratulations. This is something that we in Hong Kong should learn about it. But you have been doing so well in this particular regard. And that makes this university is so, noticeable in the whole world, in everything. So it's a time to conclude. And this conversation can last forever, but this is really something good we can learn. And this conversation covered a wide range of subjects. it goes from teaming and students' graduation, and also it's not just for the degrees, but also the utility of the degrees, how we benefit the society. And certainly, the country, in this case, the Republic of Singapore, has done so much to this university, and the university also fed back to the country. So make this a win-win team. Thank you again, President Tan.
Thank you.
It's really a pleasure here. I'm sure everybody will enjoy this conversation.
In the episode of next week, we will introduce a university which was established over 600 years ago, the oldest extant Catholic university in the world. The Catholic University of Louvain in Belgium. Many well-known scholars taught at the university in the 16th century, including the famous Renaissance humanist Erasmus, the father of modern anatomy Vesalius, cartographer Mercator, and many more.